Hi, welcome to the Amped EV podcast. And for all of you eagle-eared Amped EV podcast listeners from the past, you may notice that today's format has changed a little bit. We are now in video form, so you can see us. I also have a co-host. This is Jason Morgan. Jason Morgan, who are you?
I'm Jason Morgan. We've established that right off the bat. I am the content director for Fleet Equipment, cover heavy-duty trucks class 1 through 8. Getting into a lot of electrification, hydrogen, fuel cell, all sorts of stuff. So I am happy to be here. I am amped to be here. Has anyone said that?
Nice.
Have you said that on the podcast
I haven't
yet?
heard it yet, believe it or not.
Okay, I'm going to say it every episode. It's going to be my thing. I'm going to say
just
it
be
in
a regular thing,
different
definitely.
way, just like amped. I'm just going to do it differently. But no, I'm excited to be here.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So, electrification, you were talking a little bit about trucking, but, when I think of trucks, I think of big vehicles passing me on the highway. They smell like diesel. They're loud. Why are you here today?
Yeah. Well, you sent me an email, and I arrived at the meeting destination location. So that was step one. Step two, I thought we could catch up on all things electrification. I know you are pretty busy with the buzz covering the automotive side. Wanted to bring a lot of the commercial side here to talk today. So yes, trucking is still diesel. Still diesel trucks. We're at like maybe 1% of the market-ish that has started to wade into electrification. We're talking about everything from last mile delivery vans like the Amazon ones that are running around your neighborhood. Those will likely be electric sooner rather than later, all the way up to class 7 or 8. So we do have class 7 or 8 trucks. Many of the major manufacturers, Peterbilt, Freightliner, Volvo, Kenworth, they're offering Class 8 trucks. They have about a 150 to 200 mile range, depending on your application. So the whole gamut of trucking is getting into electrification. And I think the big takeaway is it's happening, right? It's actually happening. It's not just I'll buy a few here, buy a few there to make my board happy. I think the development is actually happening.
So I've actually seen these electrified Amazon trucks or vans, in my neighborhood in Akron, Ohio. I have not seen any of these Class 8, heavy-duty giant electric trucks. Are these on the roads anywhere? Maybe California or West Coast?
Yes, you must read Fleet Equipment. Yes. They are heavy in California, and I think that's the first place people would think of it. Oh, California, it's like its own little regulation country out there doing wild stuff. However, I think one of the big things in electrification is the North American Council for Freight Efficiency, NACFE. It's kind of a big acronym there, but they've done a really cool what they call run on less electric, basically a test case of 13 electric trucks running pretty much all across the U.S., right, and a few up in Canada. So while the hotbed is definitely in California with all the regulations going on there, it's starting to spread out throughout the entire country. I mean, they had fleets up in the Midwest, up in the north during that run electric vehicles during the winter. A lot of yard tractors running in Canada, clearly cold. So they had they just compiled a massive amount of data. So yes, California again, but we're spreading into the rest of the U.S.
So in what you know about this data they've collected, anything surprising come out of it, especially from this past one, this was kind of a big deal.
Right.
They had a lot of trucks.
Right. Yes, I would tell you. However, I'm going to plug Fleet Equipment here because I just got off an interview with Micro, their executive director. So you should watch that interview. That's going to come out soon.
Oh, nice.
But to tease it a little bit, I did. So yeah, I cheated. So this meeting was right after that meeting. So now I'm just.
And I had no idea about that.
No,
so,
surprise. I'm surprised you didn't spit your water out right there. And how dare you plug something else? I'm like, okay. So, I will throw out there that I basically just stole his line. That he sees fleets that are ready for it. The industry is ready for it. We've been down some of these alternative fuels. And I won't even say alternative fuels. They're just fuels you could use as we move toward greater decarbonization and increased sustainability. But, people, natural gas, we've been down that road before. That didn't quite take off like we thought. It's being backed by a lot of regulation now, so it looks like it has some legs. But the fleets that are getting into it are really getting into it. It's not just kind of a show truck that just kind of, a token of their sustainability efforts. They're really getting into it. They're putting in the infrastructure. They're running the trucks in application. And as NACFE found in their Run on Less Electric findings, the big headline was trucking is ready for electrification in certain applications, right? We're talking under 150 miles typically. But even then, they had NFI Freight running 1,500 miles and doing, a handful of drop-offs, right? Maybe 5. And they had DHL running maybe 600 miles and doing over 130 drop-offs. So definitely a bunch of different applications in there that they're using electric vehicles for.
So in the consumer world, in at least my studies on EVs.
Yes, studious.
Yes, very
and
studious.
prolific. I mean, the Post.
Oh well, I do what I can. But it seems that consumers, the two kind of barriers to entry is range anxiety. That's getting better, but it's still an issue.
Yep.
And just upfront cost.
Yep.
Are you seeing the same thing reflected in trucking?
Yes, 100%. Range anxiety, I think it's just a matter of being comfortable with it. Again, you're not just throwing these trucks into an application and going, well, I hope they go and they don't run out of juice before they get home, because that's a heck of a towing bill. I mean, it's all really well thought out, really well mapped out. Working with truck OEMs, they will be the first to tell you whether your application is correct for and a fit for electrification, or if you need to just go with a traditional truck, right? They're not going to put you into something that won't deliver, literally and figuratively there, I guess. Range anxiety's getting, coming down a little bit. Cost is still a big one. There's a reason that you kind of recognize the names that are getting into electrification, right? Yeah. They're big names. They have the ability to put the money there. Now, there are a lot of partnerships with municipalities, with Clean Air Task Force, and other organizations that need to move these sustainability goals forward. So there's opportunity for to subsidize funding, but I mean, it's expensive. Everything's kind of expensive right now. Costs will come down. I think the other thing you're going to see is diesel technology will continue to grow in advance. I think this is just pure my speculation. This is Jason Morgan speculation only. But we have another round of efficiency regulations coming down the line for engines here in, I believe, 2024. Diesel prices are going to go up. At the same time, we have the first wave of electric vehicles coming into the market, and that technology is going to just get cheaper as we go down the line and more people put in use. But you have been peppering me with questions now, and so now I'm turning the tables, Mr. Sickles. It's happening because we've been traveling a lot. We've been on the road a lot. You were out at SEMA, Apex, right? You mentioned the consumer side. I got to know what was going on at SEMA and Apex. Was this a big coming out party for electric vehicles, or was it?
So I wouldn't put it that way.
Okay.
SEMA and Apex, a lot of fun every year. It's especially SEMA is essentially this giant car show with just the craziest, coolest looking cars you've ever seen.
Right.
All the aftermarket stuff, the spinning rims, I
got those on my car.
Yeah, of course. I know you do. I see it in the parking lot every day.
That's right.
It's a little flashy.
But, yeah, I know. On a 13-year-old Toyota Camry. Yeah, I know, but
and it oddly fits. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that kind of stuff, the spoilers, the paint, different paint jobs, all that. EVs were at SEMA, not. You don't go to SEMA for electric vehicles. Okay. At least not today. At least not in the last couple of weeks. That being said, they were present, but it was definitely an internal combustion engine focused show. Yeah. I actually have some notes with me here because I didn't want to get any of these guys' the details wrong, but I did run into a few companies that I thought were pretty cool, pretty interesting. All right.
I'm going to settle in. Give us the rundown.
Yeah, so Electra Meccanica was one of them who I talked to. They had on display this three-wheeled, single-passenger, highway-legal EV. I just thought it was cool looking. It looked like it was from the future or something like
was
that.
it like the two in the front and the one in the
Yeah.
one in the, okay. I don't know what those are called.
Exactly.
Again.
Yeah, three-wheeler, I
Three-wheeler?
suppose?
Yeah, reverse trike.
Yeah, yeah, for...
Can we coin that? You heard that here. We're going to call that the reverse trike.
But it's really cool. It's a 100-mile range, 80 miles per hour top.
Oh, wow.
And they're kind of marketing it as, you know, these kind of fleet vehicles for this kind of like small, you know, like delivery kind of thing where you could kind of load it up and it would just be ready to go for the day.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that is really pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. I liked it. And they were trying to gauge the interest in it. And I mean, from what I could tell, their booth was full of people who was, you know, really interested in checking it out and stuff. So
Interesting.
they were a cool one. Hypercraft was another one. They build turnkey electric vehicle powertrain system for high performance racing and power sports vehicles.
Yes, okay.
And they had partnered with a team called Geyser Brothers. This is a company that builds off-road car and truck chassis. So what they did, they kind of combined forces to make this like super desert race truck.
Okay.
And that, I mean, that
Like a Baja Sahara
yeah,
kinda,
exactly.
okay,
Yeah, just
all
something
right.
that would kind of tear up the, you know, the sandy landscape or whatever.
Yeah, the dunes.
The dunes,
Yeah, traversing the dunes.
if you will. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
That was a really cool one, and but they had this on display, but that's not only what Hypercraft does. You know, I mean, they can basically put their EV powertrain into whatever you want to give them.
Right.
So they were really cool. We're starting to see a lot of companies like that,
Yeah.
you know, start to, this kind of conversion idea where, you know, whatever you want, you know, you could have a Ford Bronco and throw in an EV powertrain and now you can charge it at home. So
Right.
that's really cool. By the way, they did have a Ford Bronco on display at the show with the, I believe the entire battery pack was, you know, all in the back of the car.
Okay,
So, yeah, and it had the frunk in front.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I know. I've seen that. I've seen it on the electric F-150 at a couple shows too.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
you're
pretty
walking
cool.
around and be like, yeah, look over there. There's no engine. How's this? You know.
Yeah, what?
Just teasing
how'd it
people
get
on
here?
how it goes. But no, very cool. It is very interesting.
Jeep had a really cool concept vehicle.
Okay.
It's another one of these kind of made for, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily made for the desert, but it's like a rock climbing vehicle. It's based on the Rubicon.
Oh, okay.
They called it the Magneto, which
that's way better. That's the best one.
I'm an X-Men fan, so
I'm
you know,
buying one tomorrow.
I'm gonna have to buy one. You know, for the name alone, for sure. They got me in there.
Yeah. I'll buy one too.
So you know, SEMA was full of some more. I don't want to say off the wall, but not necessarily mainstream kind of EV ideas. They were really trying to show off different concepts and kind of gauge the engagement there. People were excited about it. There, you know, everyone's booths were full, but it wasn't, you know, the amount of space for EVs was far inferior to the space for the rest of the show.
Sounds like there was some electrification at SEMA, not as much as maybe I dreamed up, because in my electrified dreams it was just all wall to wall, but they had different areas. Anything else on your list there?
No, yeah, I would totally agree. It wasn't necessarily mainstream EV, you know, kind of what you would expect from a lot of these companies. It's more kind of throwing out different concepts, kind of seeing what the engagement is like, things like that. But that being said, you know, they had the SEMA electrified area, which was all dedicated to EVs. But then at different booths, you know, you would go to different booths and you'd be surprised at what you would see that was really focused at kind of the EV crowd. Redline Detection was one of those that actually had something that kind of piqued my interest a little bit. So you're always hearing about EV fires. They're trying to prevent those using a kind of a detection system. Let me make sure I get this correct. So it's a battery and coolant leak detector.
Okay.
And it's basically used to test the integrity of the battery, make sure there's no, you know, leaking, you know, gases or fluids or whatever it might be. And they were actually named the SEMA Manufacturer of the Year.
Okay.
So, I mean, clearly it's not... it's not like SEMA is blind to these innovations and kind of EV focused, different ideas. So they were a really cool company. It was interesting to see what you would see as you would walk around the floor and see.
Well, and what's interesting is, especially when I cover the commercial market too, it's like, okay, what names do you know? What names do you not know, right? So you mentioned Jeep in there. That's a brand everybody is aware of. Mentioned a couple others there that, okay, that's the first time I'm hearing about them, right? Same in the trucking world. And, it comes down to, okay, well, what does that mean, right? Even for me as a consumer, I want an electric car, but okay, do I go with a Tesla that's been around? I know that name, right? Or you mentioned fires. I was also real high on the Chevy Bolt there for a while until you couldn't park it in the garage or next to other cars.
They've corrected that. But I know what you're saying.
So still a lot of unknowns. Still a lot of unknowns. All right, so this has been wonderful. This has been absolutely wonderful. What are we going to talk about next time?
I'm thinking hydrogen.
Okay.
Hydrogen big in trucking right now. And believe it or not, it's also creeping its way into the consumer world as well.
Okay, so you're telling me I might be getting a hydrogen car instead of electric?
I wouldn't say it's outside the realm of possibility.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us today, everyone. We'll see you next time.